Okay, so this is the next video in our continuation of our AWS series. And in this video, we will see the next service, which is the cloud front. So we will first see what it is and why we need it. Then we will see in a practical. Okay. So I prepare a one small diagram for the cloud front. So cloud front is basically a CDN. CDN means content delivery network, so which delivers some content over the network. So it is a cloud front is basically a CDN. So how this work is, so let's suppose you have one S3 bucket, right? And you put some object into your S3 bucket, or maybe you have some website which is running on any server, and they have some URL, and you have deployed your website or your S3 bucket is in India region, or maybe in London region. And let's suppose it is in the India region. And now, but your users are across the globe. So maybe your users are in the Europe, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, America, right? As well as in the India as well. The users, because your bucket or your website deployed into the India region, so the users who are in the India, if they try to access the content, they will get uh, on a very speed basis, like very within microseconds. But the users who is at very far location, maybe who is sitting at USA, so and that person tried to access the content from the bucket or website which is deployed into the India region, then that will also get the access. But the response time is, so there should be like a more latency. So there should be some latency, the user who is in the India, maybe he is getting the response within 1 second, and user sitting in the America, he is getting the response within 5 seconds maybe. All right. So but when we create some website now, so there are some elements in the website which are some static elements, like the images. So once the images are getting loaded, so why we need to again rerun, reload that particular image again and again and again, right? Some static content, you can say, like we have. So for we have the cloud front service, which is called as a CDN. So how it will work is, so cloud front is not a region specific, zone specific, it is a globe service. All right. So and let's suppose you put something, you put a static website into your S3 bucket, right? And you can deploy this S3 bucket in any region, doesn't matter where you are going to deploy it, right? In any region in the world. So let's suppose you created your S3 bucket and you put some index.html file into your S3 bucket within the India region, right? And now your users are across the world. So using the cloud front, what the user will do is, and you have deployed, like you have put some connection with the cloud front. So I will tell you how to do that and what is the use of this. So let's suppose you did some connection with the cloud front. Now, rather than giving the URL of your bucket, we will give the URL of the cloud front. So cloud front is a globe service. So you will give, they will, so you will give the URL for the cloud front to the user. So now let's put the user. So there are two users. One is in the India location and one is in the, so let's suppose there are two user. 1 minute. So let's suppose there are two user. One is in the India location and one is in the America location. And both want to access this bucket, but using the cloud front. So the India user, when try to access the your S3 bucket using the cloud front. So right now within the cloud front, it doesn't hold any kind of information, right? But it has only the URL which is attached with this bucket. So this user will send the request, like maybe like get request for the index.html page to the cloud front. So this request will go to the nearest CloudFront, because this CloudFront is across the globe. So this CloudFront service is in the America as well. This CloudFront service is in the India as well. It's in the Australia, New Zealand, everywhere. So this is across the globe. So let's put the user who is in the America and try to send the request. So this request will go to their nearest CloudFront. All right. So because when we deploy the CloudFront, now we never mention okay where it should be deployed. So this request go to its nearer CloudFront. So this request, so this is the America user. So this request go to the nearest CloudFront edge location. So, but this doesn't have any information. Our information stored here. So this CloudFront will send the request to the origin. Origin means like from where we have to get the information, actual origin, whether it is a S3 website or it's a HTTP URL or whatever it is. So it send the request to the origin, and origin again for give the response back to the CloudFront, and CloudFront send the response back to the user. Along with that, CloudFront stores some information, the static information like some images or this information within the CloudFront. So next time, so let's put the any other user within the America and now try to access the same file from the origin like bucket. So it will also go to the same URL, and that URL is of the CloudFront. So it will try to access the CloudFront URL. Now the CloudFront already have that information. So CloudFront will not going to forward that request. CloudFront like send the response back to the like the second user who is sitting in the America. So for the second, okay, first user will get some like getting the response in some time, but the second user will get the response within microsecond. Same with the India user. So India user, okay, the bucket is in the India and the user is also in India. So this user will also send the request to the CloudFront. So this user, when it send the request to the CloudFront, so the CloudFront is available in the India as well. So it will check, okay, this user in the India, and what is the nearest location of the CloudFront as compared to the user. So there is a one CloudFront which is nearer to the user. So it will send the request to that CloudFront, and that CloudFront will send the request to the bucket, and it will like send the response to the CloudFront, and CloudFront like send the response back to the user. All right. So it works in this way. So basically, it is a content delivery network. So how to see in the practical? So we need one bucket. We have to put some files. So once we put that file, then we will like try to access those files using the CloudFront. So let's try. We can go to the S3. We can create a bucket. So create bucket. So let me create the bucket with name Swanshu bucket, and let me put into the EU West 2, which is the in the Europe, in the London. Okay, so this is the region name, and let me block all public access. So whatever the data I am putting in the bucket, it is being blocked by all the public, so no one can access the data. All right, and simply I will just create the bucket. Click on create bucket. Okay, bucket has been created. So now I have to put some content into the bucket. So I have like very basic file for the index.html, only the HTML tag, head tag, title, this is my website, and h2, okay, everyone loves their own country, and some reference to the like the source file, one any image, very basic. Any, even you can create one HTML file with some heading only h1, okay, this is my website. All right. So we will upload those files. So add files. So one is the index.html, one is like one flag. Okay, so let's upload that file. So close it. So now our bucket is ready, and we have uploaded the file into the bucket. So if any user has to access that file, so one option is, so let's suppose the index.html is my website, and that user has to access. So one option is that person can copy the URL. We will give the URL and we try to access the file. But this will not work because the public access is blocked, right? So this will not work. Okay, the second way is there is an open button here. So if you click on the open button, the person will see the their website. The image is not visible. Why the image is not visible? Because a user doesn't have access to see the image, because we access only the file. So we pass the token, security token, for the index.html, but not for the file, because we block all the public access. So image is treating as a public. All right. So no one can access my a website, correct? So now let's go to the CloudFront. So CloudFront is a global content delivery network. So it is a CDN. And you can see when I open the CloudFront, automatically it is a global. So I can't choose any region. So it is a global service. It securely deliver content with low latency and high transfer speed. Okay, so you create a CloudFront. So now so I am bucket is done. Now I have to create the CloudFront. So I go to the CloudFront, I go to the create distribution. Now it is asking, okay, what is your origin? Whether it is your S3 bucket, whether it is your HTTP URL, what is your origin? Where I have to get the content. All right. So in our case, it is S3 bucket. So it is S3 bucket. But you can give the elastic load balancer, media store container, media package. Even you can give your website name like http www.facebook.com or whatever your website. So right now our origin is S3 bucket. So we give the S3 bucket. This is option, leave everything. The name automatically populated. That is fine. Now S3 bucket access. So use a CloudFront origin access identity. So OAI means origin access identity to access the S3 bucket. So this is basically to secure the bucket. So origin access identity is linked with the S3 bucket. So when CloudFront try to access the data from the S3 bucket, it access via the OAI, that is the origin access identity. So we said, okay, let's secure that. Yes, we will also use the OAI. Okay. So now they said, okay, if you have to create the origin access identity. So you can just click create a new OAI, and it will create the new OI, and you can just click on the create. All right. And after that, it is visible here. So you can see here. So it is visible here. Now the bucket policy. So yes, I want to update the bucket policy as well. So if I go to the S3, and if I go to the bucket, we have two files available. But if I go to the permission, right now there are no policy attached with the bucket, and everything is getting blocked. No one can access my files, right? So no policy even attached. Even none of the services going to access my file. But now we want the CloudFront service should access the file. So we have to attach the policy here so that the CloudFront service can access the my files. So that's why we are saying, okay, yes, update the bucket policy so that this CloudFront can access. So leave everything as it is. At the end, you will see one option, that is the default root object. That is when my CloudFront try to access the S3 bucket, which file it try to access as a default. So default is index.html. That's it. And if you now you can create the distribution. So distribution has been created, and it is giving you some DNS, and it is giving you some URL, and it is stating a deploying. So it is now going to deploy. It will take some time. And CloudFront is the free service. So if you go to the AWS free tier and open the first link and scroll down, and if you search here CloudFront. So CloudFront is a content delivery. It will always free, and it is also the part of the free tier. And the 1 TB of data it can transfer out free. So, but we are only accessing only very KB file, index.html. So we don't need to worry. 1 TB of data transfer out, but this millions of HTTP requests, because I said na, so this origin could be our S3 bucket, or it could be some HTTP URL, right? So this is a free service, so you don't need to worry about. Okay, and it will always be free. So let's close it. Okay, so let's go to the CloudFront. So it is going to deploying. So it is deploying. But if you refresh our S3 bucket, now if you scroll down, now you could see bucket policy has been updated, because I said here update my bucket policy while creating the CloudFront. So bucket policy has been updated, like who will access. So principle is who will access. So access is the CloudFront. So CloudFront will going to access my bucket, and effect is allow. So it will access and it will get the object. So action is get object. So it will only get the object. It will not delete, put, or modify. No, it will only get the object. So on which bucket? On this bucket, and every like file. All right. So we have updated like our S3 bucket policy, and this will going to deploy. But if you copy the distribution domain names DNS, and you try to now browse, so you could see I am able to see my website, and this time the flag is also like I'm able to see. So this is still deploying, but like you can like able to see the content. So any user, so let's suppose I am in the right now, I uh, this bucket is in the London region, and let's suppose I am in the Europe. So when I hit this request, so how it goes? So I, it check, okay, the user is in the Europe region. So what is the nearest CloudFront located near to the that user? So it found my nearer CloudFront. It sent the request to the CloudFront, because this is a CloudFront URL, and nothing is mentioned here like the region name, nothing like that, because it is a global service. And when we created, we did not mention any region, nothing like that. So it is a global service. So when I hit this URL, so automatically by default it goes to my nearer CloudFront as a location, but the CloudFront doesn't have any information. So CloudFront is linked with my S3 bucket, because when we create the distribution, we link it with the S3 bucket. So it send the request to the S3 bucket, and it get the object, and it store into the edge location now, and it send the request to me. When any other user, so let's suppose there is a one more user came and try to hit enter, right? So that user will get the response within a even less than like my time, because already CloudFront nearer to this location have already fetched that particular content. So let's suppose if I give the URL to you guys, and you are located in India, let's suppose, and my bucket is in the Europe, so you are in the India. So when you hit this URL, right, the same URL only, so when you hit this URL, so this URL will find the nearest CloudFront location near to the India. So let's suppose it is in the Mumbai region, so it will send the request to your near CloudFront location, and that CloudFront location send the further request to the origin which is attached with the CloudFront, and it will store the response back to the CloudFront and send to us. Now if there is any other user into the India, and it will hit the same URL, that user will get the response within a microsecond, as compared to the first user. First user definitely will get some time, but the second user will like start receiving the response in a minute, microseconds, because already CloudFront has the data. So that is the content delivery network. So you go to the distributions, so it is enabled. All right. So yeah, and one more thing, if you go to the CloudFront, and if you under the security, you could see origin access identity, that is OAI, because when we created the CloudFront, so we said, okay, we want to access our bucket using the OAI. So we can see our OAI from here. If you click on the origin access identity, so this is the origin access identity which is getting created automatically. Okay, so This is the origin access identity. Okay, so if you go to the distributions, so now if you have to delete the distribution, so now your work is done. All right, so I want to clean the resources. So how I can delete? So first you have to disable it. So now we disable it. So once you disable it, now it again come to the deploying state. All right. So you have to wait, because if you again click it, the delete option is not active, right? Because it is again going to the deploying. So deploying means it is disabling the things. All right. So it is going to the deploying state. So you have to wait for a couple of minutes, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Then when it is done, you will, when you see the timestamp here, then you can re-click on it and you can delete the distribution. So meanwhile, let's go to the bucket and delete the data, because we are done with the CloudFront. So let's delete the data. So data has been deleted. So now if even if you try to access it now, so it will like fail, because we have disabled the particular error. So generated by CloudFront. So this is the CloudFront. So because we are disabled that, right? So we are disable it. Okay, so now let's delete that bucket. So delete. Deleted. So that's done. So even it is still in the deploying, but after the couple of seconds, we will see the timestamp, and after that we can click on it and we can delete it. So that's it. That's the end of the video. Thank you.